Hi, my name is Charlotte Lewis, and I am the host and the creator of Share with Charlotte podcast, where we find emphasis on finding balance in relationships. The last episode that I did would involve domestic violence, finding your enough. And I had a young lady that I spoke of in that particular episode. And I just want to give you a quick update because she was going to do this segment for me. And unfortunately, some other things, it's like one thing after another is taking place. And she is just struggling with trying to find that balance for herself and her family in this whole ordeal. And so what has happened since I did the last episode, he was put in jail and she thought she could breathe for a while. And what ended up happening was the sister who got him out the first time, it's the second time he's gone to jail, she again got him out again. And now he's back. So she was home for a little bit. And once he was in jail, she felt a little safe, at least safer. And now she's on the run again. She's back in this undisclosed location. He's out and she's living all over again in fear. And she just, when we talked over the weekend, she was just saying, I just don't know how much more she can take of this. I just need help. I mean, the system is failing me. The sister, who is an enabler for this whole thing, have decided that what's more important is that the brother be set free as opposed to putting more emphasis on life itself or just how it's all going to affect him if he go to the level of killing somebody. That you can't bail him out of that. So it's just bad that when we support that kind of behavior, as opposed to showing some tough love that we need to show when somebody is doing that, doing something of that nature. And my heart goes out to this young lady. It's not a whole lot I can do except just be supportive for her. But that's the situation as we speak. She says she definitely still wants to do an episode on domestic violence as it pertains to her life. And I will honor whatever she need me on any basis, whatever time is suitable for her, wherever she found her comfort level. It's not mine, it's hers. And so we'll wait for that. And I truly hope that at some point she does, because I know there's still a lot of people out there that's hurting, going through it. She's not the only one. We went over stats in my last episode, so you know there's a lot of people, even as I'm doing this episode right now, that are being abused. Every 1 minute, remember, every 1 minute, 20 people are being abused through domestic violence, intimate partner violence. I mean, every 1 minute, keep that in mind. It's happening, it's real, and it's something got to give on that. And if anybody out there listening knows any way that you can help this young lady, I mean, go to my website, www.sharewithcharlotte.com. And my heart goes out to her. So that's the update on that particular situation. But now let's move into another segment of something that I experienced out of joy, and that is graduation day for my grandson and a milestone. We know that's the more you be in school, most likely is to get out of whether you're in pre-K all the way up to finishing high school. That's a lot of years that we invest as people and parents to get our child to that point. Well, we celebrate it. We so happy, we're so thankful that he's reached that milestone. And I'm so thankful that I'm here to see it and to be a witness to it. But there's a lot of parents. I looked around as I was looking at everything that was going on, all the people smiling, all the chatter, and you know, um, and people hollering, and the screaming as people with names were being called out of pure joy of their child graduating, or their relative, or someone they love, or someone they know that was graduating. This big day that you only get once, because you only can graduate from high school just one time. But then it came to me, and I just said, "But what's beyond graduation? What's beyond graduation? You know, what happens after that? After you cheered the kid, cheered your child, or cheered them on, and now things are quiet again. What happens? I mean, what's the plan? Because now you reached the epitome of I've graduated, and now what's my next step? What's my next step? And as a parent, you're thinking, so I've got my child through high school. So now what's the next step? Because as parents, you only have so much control. You have more control during this stage of life than the next stage of life. And so my question I raise a lot is if your child not going to college and if your child not going to the military, well, those are two structured environments. What's next? What's next for your child? You know, what's the plan? Does your child even have a plan? Because if your child, and also the big question is, what is your expectation now that they've graduated of your child? What's your expectation? Unfortunately, may not have any, except I just want to chill for a while. Just, I mean, I've been through school. I just want to just do nothing for a while. What's a while? What's a while? And then what's your expectation? Is this something that you think is acceptable that your child chill for a while? What's chill? 3 months, 6 months, 1 year? What's chill for a while? But the big question is, what is also your expectations? I did want to read you some stats that I pulled up because I'm always want to go beyond just just speaking on the subject, but also looking at what also we can do and we just being knowledgeable of what's really going on as a whole. And that is, it says that one third of young adults between the ages of 18 to 34, 18 to 34, are still living at home. One third, one third. And out of that one third of kids, 18 to 34, but really are they still kids? No, these young adults. 57% are 18 to 24, those like your college hours or your post college hours. 21% are 25 to 29. That's 21% between 25 to 29 years old. And then you have 11% that are the one that are 30 plus, 30 to 34 years old. And the question that was raised, but if your child's living at home and they're 34 years old, or they're still living at home, if you're one of those people in that stat, or you consider failure as a parent, and I'm saying no, it also could be yes, because it depends also as to why your child still living at home. Because a lot of times we can become enablers as parents. But 1 out of 3 kids is still living at home. And if they went off to college, it could be due to the fact that, you have all these student loans. We know what that looked like. Inflation, we all know what that looked like. But sometimes it's also about kids just don't know how to manage their money. They may make good money, but they don't manage their money. So therefore, bills aren't getting paid. So they got to come back home so they can have more money freed up so they can do more with their money. But that does not necessarily make you a failure as a parent. If something happened with your child, divorces happen. They just came home from college. They're trying to regroup to find their way. Sickness happens. Sometimes life just they lose their job. Those are reasons why I can see children coming back home. If they want to save for a house and they need a good down payment, so let me go live temporarily, not moving in on a permanent basis, but temporarily where I can save money. But see, passing through is one thing, but when they say live, that's something different. I mean, I don't put all the pictures on the wall. I don't empty all my boxes. I'm here. I'm staying for a minute. I'm staying for quite a while, actually. That's the difference than I'm passing through. Or I'm just really here because I'm living. I'm going to be living here. I'm going to be staying here. I'm not going anywhere. That's something totally different. But a lot of time kids graduates and they have no plan. And a lot of time, which I think is even worse than that to me, because they're still at that young stage, is when kids leave high school, graduates, and parents are lost. Parents deliberately keep their children home. Parents deliberately want to hold on to them. Parents who have no life beyond their children. Parents who tend to believe there is no life beyond my children. Parents who have poured so much into their children that their world have always been so small and centered around their children. And a lot of times it's because they're people that are not married, or you're in a marriage that not a good one, that you've been able to survive in that marriage because you shifted all your attention to your children or your child. Sometimes you only have that one child, So when that one child leave, you have no children at home, and there's a sense of loneliness and a sense of alone. Because you can even be in a marriage and be alone. But if you have no life beyond your children, then yeah, absolutely. That fear stirs up in you is what's going to happen to me. What am I going to do? But I don't think anybody should put the whole world around anything except God. That's why the podcast is called Finding Balance in Relationships, because it also have to find balance in yourself. So with that happening, if your child want to go to college or want to go to the military or have a plan to leave home, a lot of times parents like that discourage their kids from growing. We want our children to grow. And as you raising your kids, as you pouring information and wisdom into your child, and you're teaching your child, it's always about how to leave, not how to stay. It's always how to leave, not how to stay. Because the world out there would choke. The world out there would consume them. The world out there would just take control of them if they're not prepared. So we're always in a state of parenting because we want to always be in a position where we're teaching so that when it's time for them to take that step out beyond graduation, they're ready. And sometimes you can pour all that in them and in them and they're still not ready. We get that. Sometimes they're just kids like that. They're just not ready. As much as you've done, they're just not ready. But those kids say, but I want to go to college. I want, you know, and they're looking at schools beyond that you're like, but are you really ready for that? Then you might want them to go to community college where they can grow more. But what you don't want to do is hold your kid back where they can spread their own wings and fly. Let your child fly. Let them soar. Let them find their path. You're there for support, not control, but you should be there for support. Now, I'm not saying that some of the stuff they may come up with be ridiculous. Yeah, you got to step in because you're always in a state of parenting, always. But all of this is growing, maturing, establishing their footage as to what and how they want to be in life. And you're there to be there as their support system to help them. But what a parent should never do, unless it's really needed, is put a kid on your back and carry it because you're taking them away when they have two good feet, two good legs, and they can walk. But be careful how much you do. Be careful because as parents, you've been through their life all these years, these 18 years. Sometimes it's 19, depending on their birthday when they started school. And you've always been there. You've done this, you've done that. And you don't know how to not do this and how to not do that. And sometimes it's tough because as parents, a lot of times you want to feel like you're needed. And if you feel like you're not needed, then they're going to forget me. They're not going to want to be with me. They're not going to come around me. They're not going to call me. They're not going to stop by and see me. So therefore, I have to have them to feel that there's a certain level of need from me. And so we sometimes purposely create a neededness in our children to hold on to them. And that's wrong. So if anybody doing that, that is so wrong. Because your kid can't grow if that's what you're doing. They cannot grow. And these young people need to learn to how to be a mature, seasoned adult, room to thrive, room to make their own way in their own path, room to be responsible, room to be accountable, room to want more, desire more, room to, we can make our kids lazy when we carry them. We can make our kids to feel entitled when we do that. We can make our kids be ungrateful when we do that, unappreciative. We can make our kids actually mad when you don't because you've done it for so long. So they don't know what that no is. They don't know when you decide I'm not doing it anymore. And now you got chaos in that relationship because you've done too much. You've done too much. And you hear parents say sometimes, and a lot of times, especially with fathers, with their daughters, and even mothers with their sons, or just parents with their children. As long as I got it, they can get anything from me. That's a cliche. I have always been supportive of my kids, always. But you have to be careful where you land that support. Because you don't want to make your kids where they're at a level where they rather ask than go out and try. They rather come to you than make the effort. That's not good. That is not good. But these kids are graduating from high school, and there's a whole nother world out there. There's a whole nother something getting ready to happen. It's getting ready to blow up because high school really is a more, it's for a structure because they know they're coming home. They got this, they know their place. But when you leave high school, a lot of people, a lot of kids and parents get lost. You get lost as to what the next step is. And so I want to read something else to you because this is actually something really to really think about. Really, what effects does emptiness going to have on the parent? What's going to be your life beyond your child graduating? If you have other children, then we already know what that's like. But a lot of people out there have one child, just one. And those that have multiple children, we know that you got other children you gotta go into. And if your child going off to college, I mean, you gotta prepare for that. They're going off to military. There's a whole nother preparation. What's the next step? But I still say to parents is how did you balance that? Even leave one? Because I remember when my first one left, even though I have three sons, and I was like, you know what amazed me is when one left, it felt like this big old hole, even though it was one. Because that one make a difference. That one makes a difference. When you so accustomed to having all your children. And then I have a set of twins. One ended up going to college, one ended up going to New York, and that was it. And so you have to find yourself, okay, so what's your next step? You don't never stop being a parent because they move away. That doesn't eliminate that position. You always a parent. That's first. You can be a friend, you can be a supporter, you can be other things, but God gave you that. You're always a parent. So that means you always have their best interests at heart. And the time that you need to, you're always parenting. But we don't want our kids to be lost. And we don't want our parents to be lost in what that next step is. And you have to decide as a parent with your child, what's their plan beyond high school? Sit down with them, talk to them. So everybody, some kids just don't know what their plan is. They really don't know what their next plan is. So maybe you can help them figure out things that they can do to find their place. And I know a lot of time with parents, we want to them to mimic some of the things we did, such as I was a doctor, or I was a lawyer, or I was an entrepreneur, I was in this business, I was in that, whatever. And I want you to be a little mini me, but you have to also listen to your child. What do they want to be? Do they want to be a little mini me of you? Or do they want to be and go out and find their own as to who they want to be? All of that is important. And then you got something else is now that they're 18, 19, and they're still in your house beyond graduation. But see, that comes with a whole nother something because there's a sense of I'm grown, I'm an adult. Yeah, you're an adult by age, but it's hard for me to see you as a full adult and you living in my house, eating my food, using my light, my water, my gas, my food, my roof, sleeping in my bed that I bought. So it's hard for me. I don't know about you, but it'll be hard for me to see you as a full adult when everything mimic a child. And then if they're thinking they're this adult and you're an adult, now you got two adults. And if there's a father or a male in the house, you got three adults. Nowhere should your child be on your equal. I don't care how old, but your child should not be on your equal because you're always the parent. You have a heads up. You're the parent. And it's your house, your rules, your way. And then it comes to if they're believing that they're this adult and you're, of course, the adult, then sometimes the lines get blurred and start blending as to what rights they think they have. Because I'm now an adult and I'm living in your house, but I'm an adult too. So all these entitlements I have because I am an adult. So therefore, I'm going to act like an adult. And you have to be real careful with that because you can give so much leeway to where you no longer have control over your house. You have to be really careful with that because I know I've had my children come in and out, you know, where they had to come and stay. But I've always had rules. I've always had rules because it's my house. You can be an adult, don't matter to me. There's rules in my house. There's expectations in my house. That's a point blank. And that's a period. And there has to be respect for both in my house. And there's nothing wrong with setting boundaries. Because once you have your own place, you set your own rules and your own boundaries and your own expectations as people come into your domain. And sometimes that gets twisted. Sometimes it creates chaos with parents and children or these young adults because it happens. Then sometimes you got to make tough choices because what you don't want to do is let something keep that is created now a wound and you see some damage starting to happen and you do nothing and then there's further damage. And sometimes you can put things and leave things in place too long to where it's hard and much harder to heal. So you have to be really careful with that. And you set those boundaries because it's just their nature to try you. It's their nature to know what boundaries are. You know what people always say they're terrible too? They say they're terrible too because kids at that age of 2, they're trying to come into their own. They're testing you. What I can and cannot get away with. It's the same thing after high school. What I can and cannot get away with. But a lot of times your child, you're going to find them, they're going to be lost. And then you're going to find some that have a plan. Help them with their plan. Move them toward their plan, even if it's not your plan, because you can't dictate everything. Now, if you see something just so far out there, I get it. Then you need to bring it home. I get that. Let's talk about it more. Maybe they hadn't looked at everything. You got to understand these are young minds. Their mind is only 18 years old, 19 years old. These are young minds. They don't know everything. And some of them knows much of little. But it's you to guide them, talk to them, and sometimes even let them see a different perspective of something they never thought of that maybe you could bring to the forefront. But we all want the best for our children. We all want the best in how they manage their life beyond graduation. We all want the best. That instead of me feeling like I've lost something, I want to help you find your way so I can watch you grow in the direction in which God is ordering your steps. And I get a chance to embrace that and watch all that unfold and happen. And I get a chance to celebrate that with you. Because when they succeed in life, we succeed in life. We celebrate their success. Just like we celebrate coming out of high school. We celebrate that because that's a milestone. We celebrate the next step that they take toward growth in their life and finding their path. We celebrate, but please don't allow your child to just do nothing and you become the enabler, allowing them to just do nothing. I know you didn't raise your child. I know you didn't carry them all these years to just do nothing because the world out there is a big world. But we all play a part in what we bring and what we put of ourselves into this world. And I just want to encourage you as parents to not stop being a parent because your children have graduated or not being a parent because they're 20, 30, 40 years old. You are forever a parent. Celebrate with them this big milestone and be a part of their life beyond what that is. And I hope the young folks, anybody young listening, and that is, you don't have all the answers, and we don't have all the answers as parents. But what you don't know, you seek. Create a plan in your life, and then work your plan. First, you got to know the plan, and then create what the plan will look like, and then you work it. Because the world is waiting for you. The world is waiting, and you're going to be groomed for your next step and where that is. But the world is waiting for all those kids that graduated. And it's up to them and it's up to us as parents, as relatives, as people who love the ones that we love, the village, to embrace that young man, young lady, to still assist and to help, to encourage, to show them love, to check in with them, stand in touch. Don't leave them out there by themselves. Know what's going on. Preferably they'll share with you because the world is big and it's a lot going on. And some of the stuff will blindside you because life happens. So just don't lose touch with your kids beyond graduation. And please, parents, please don't lose yourself. Don't lose yourself. There is much more that you can do to make a difference. Your work is done on this level. Now we move to the next phase. And if your child goes off like my grandson to Kansas State, they're nowhere near you if you're miles away. But don't lose yourself because they moved away. Find your balance of your next life. Find your balance in your next move as a person, not as a parent, but as yourself. Find your balance in how you embrace life. Find your balance because it's not ever about not having a place. You have a place in life. And the world is also now waiting on you on another level. The world is waiting on you. I thank you for listening to this episode. I thank you for that because I know it's devastating to some people to just know that their child is leaving. They're growing up to this stage of moving beyond them. I know that's bothers some people. And I know it's fearful for some people. But you don't have to be. Celebrate, celebrate. Because that's huge and a huge milestone on what that is. It's huge. We celebrate that. We embrace that. We embrace that. So I thank you. Go to my website, www.sharewithcharlotte.com. Please subscribe if you haven't. Please follow. And you can find me on Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Um, and as always, I hope this connected with you in a way that if you're having those mixed feelings, you're happy yet to sad, that's one thing. But fear is something totally different. And I hope this has been insightful for you. I hope it's encouraged you. I hope that you come to a place to realize that you're going to be okay and your child is going to be okay because you're going to be there. You're going to be a part of that. So thank you again. And I look forward to connecting with you on my next episode of Share It with Charlotte. Thank you.